I commanded wealth, and it obeyed. I did not beg, I did not plead, I did not chase. I commanded, and the law bowed before my voice. This is the secret that shakes the soul awake. Fear says impossible. Doubt says, not for you. The world says wait your turn. But the law does not listen to fear, doubt, or the world. The law listens only to the word spoken with authority. The moment I spoke, creation shifted. The air carried my command. The invisible substance of spirit rearranged itself. The divine architect took my words as a blueprint and began to build wealth in my name. Now pause and ask yourself, how many words have you scattered like seeds on rocky ground? Idle words, casual words, words of lack. You thought they vanished into silence, but every word is a decree, every syllable a chisel carving your reality. The law does not forget, the law records, and the law fulfills. This is why Florence Scovel Shinn called the tongue a mighty weapon, because your word is either a sword that carves a pathway to abundance, or a dagger that cuts your destiny short. I tell you this, wishing is weak. Hoping without faith is hollow, but commanding carries the vibration of divine authority. When you command, you are not pleading with the universe, you are not asking for permission, you are standing as a child of the infinite, declaring what is already written in the invisible. Before we go deeper, subscribe to this channel for daily teachings that will guide you into divine wealth and breakthrough. Now, hear this truth in your spirit. Every word you speak is a law of wealth fulfilled. My voice carries the vibration of prosperity. Speak it with me. Let it roll across your tongue. Feel the current of energy change as the word becomes flesh. Close your eyes for a moment and see it, a sunrise breaking through clouds, gates long locked suddenly bursting open as light pours through. This is what happens when you align your word with the law. The divine architect moves without delay. The structure of your wealth is laid stone by stone, brick by brick, at the instant of your decree. Imagine your voice as a key. Every syllable turns a lock, every declaration opens a gate, and when you speak lack, you slam the doors shut. When you complain, you pour cement over your own treasure. But when you command, the gates swing wide, and angels of supply rush to deliver what is already yours. So I ask you, what happens when you speak lack instead of law? When you say, I can't afford it, the law says, as you decree, so it is. When you whisper, money is hard to come by, the law builds walls around your flow. When you mutter, I'll never make it, the divine architect takes that blueprint and constructs limitation. The law is not emotional, it does not pity, it does not pause to ask if you meant it. It obeys, perfectly, consistently, absolutely. This is the paradox. The same law that can chain you to poverty is the same law that can make you a multi-millionaire. The difference is not the law, the difference is your word. Hear me well, you are always commanding. Every complaint is a command, every fear is a command, every idle phrase is a seed in the soil of spirit. But most live as if their words are powerless. They speak curses casually and wonder why their lives are barren. Not you, not anymore. From this day forward, your mouth becomes the throne of wealth, your voice becomes the trumpet of abundance. Every word you release carries the weight of law. Repeat this until it becomes your marrow. Every word I speak is a law of wealth fulfilled. My voice carries the vibration of prosperity. Feel how your inner dialogue shifts when you make this your foundation. No more small talk of struggle, no more gossip of failure, only decrees that carve a highway for your supply. See yourself standing before a vast gate of gold. The crowd around you knocks timidly, hoping it will open, but you do not knock, you do not wait, you do not hope, you lift your head. Speak your decree and the gate swings open on command. This is who you are, this is what the law recognizes, authority. And yet, here is the challenge. How many years have you been speaking lack into your bones? How many times have you said, I can't, until it became the rhythm of your heart? This is why your first work is awareness, to catch every word that does not serve you, to tear up the old blueprint and hand the divine architect a new one. Begin with this practice. When you hear yourself speak lack, pause, replace it instantly. Speak substitution. Instead of I can't afford it, declare, wealth is flowing and the way is opening. Instead of it's hard, declare, The law makes all things easy and complete. Instead of, I'll never, declare, my wealth arrives in divine timing, and it cannot be delayed. This is not pretending. This is commanding. This is law. I commanded wealth, and the law made me a multi-millionaire. That is not arrogance. That is alignment. That is remembrance of who I am, and it is who you are, if you dare to speak as one who carries divine authority. So again, I ask you to reflect deeply. What happens when you speak lack instead of law? And more importantly, are you ready to tear down the blueprint of poverty and draft the architecture of abundance? The law is waiting. The divine architect is listening. Your voice is the command. Imagine for a moment that every word you have spoken today is not lost in the air. It does not vanish. It does not dissolve. It is gathered, recorded, and entered into an invisible court, a sacred courtroom where your voice is law, your sentences are testimony, and your phrases are decrees that shape the evidence of your future. This is not poetry. This is spiritual law. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that your word is your wand, and every time you speak you are not simply making conversation, you are standing before the divine court of justice declaring what you believe life to be. If you say I can't afford it, you have submitted evidence against your own prosperity. If you whisper, nothing ever works out for me, you have filed a decree for delay and disappointment. If you complain, money slips through my fingers, you have signed your own order for lack. Do you see it? Most people are not judged by others, they are judged by their own words, not because God is punishing them, but because law is law. Your words are creative forces. They do not float. They construct. They summon. They testify. The law of divine justice does not bend to sentiment. It listens, it records, and it fulfills. Like a cosmic judge, it takes every syllable seriously, for life is not casual. Destiny is not casual. Your words are not casual. Pause. Reflect. What case have you been arguing? Are you defending your wealth, or are you prosecuting your own prosperity? Most people live as their own harshest prosecutors. They argue against their divine inheritance. They list their limitations as if they were reading a verdict. They recite the reasons they cannot, instead of affirming the truth that they can. This is the inner tragedy. They use their mouth as a weapon against their own future. But you, right now, you are being invited to take the witness stand differently. You are being invited to speak not as an accuser, but as a commander, to testify on behalf of your wealth, your freedom, your healing, your destiny. Let us reframe. Instead of, I can't afford it, you declare, wealth finds me in perfect timing. Instead of, it's too late for me, you speak, my life unfolds on God's divine clock, and I am always on time. Instead of, I always lose money, you affirm, every dollar I touch multiplies and strengthens my prosperity. Feel the shift. Each reframe is not just positive thinking. It is evidence submitted into the divine record. It is testimony that aligns you with law. It is the sound of your soul remembering its authority. Now let's make this personal. Take a pen, take a notebook, and write this down. If the last 24 hours of my words became my wealth tomorrow, would I be rich or poor? Do not rush past this. Sit with it, examine it, replay your conversations in your mind. Did you complain? Did you doubt? Did you fear? Or did you affirm, declare, and expect? Your wealth, your opportunities, your peace are always echoing what you have most consistently spoken. And here is the truth most overlook. Even silence testifies. If you stay silent in fear instead of declaring in faith, the court records your silence as hesitation, and hesitation attracts delay. So choose to speak, choose to declare, choose to testify. Your word carries the same power whether it condemns or blesses, so why not let it bless? Affirm this with me now. I am always testifying for my prosperity. Say it again and feel it reverberate. My every word is a command that wealth obeys. Do you feel that? It is not imagination, it is energy aligning with law. Words vibrate, they create resonance in the unseen realm. They send out a signal to which substance responds. The universe is not deaf, God is not silent, life is not random. Each time you declare with faith, you submit sacred evidence into the invisible court. Each time you choose wealth words over limitation words, you shift your verdict. Each time you speak with intention, you step closer to the manifestation that is already waiting for you. Let me give you an image. Picture a great hall filled with scrolls. Every scroll carries the imprint of words you have spoken. On one scroll your complaints are written. On another your prayers are inscribed. On another your doubts are recorded. On another your declarations shine with light. Now imagine angels as scribes transcribing every phrase with perfect accuracy. Which scroll do you want delivered to the throne of justice? Which testimony do you want fulfilled? Eled. Your life is a collection of spoken decrees, and at any moment you can shift the record. You can create a new testimony. You can file a new decree. This is where your power lives. This is where transformation begins, not in the distant future, not in waiting for a miracle, but in the words you choose this very hour. So I ask you, what will you command now? Begin with simple but absolute affirmations. I testify today that wealth belongs to me. I testify today that abundance is my birthright. I testify today that money, ideas and opportunities align in my favor. Speak these daily. Speak them when fear rises. Speak them when bills come. Speak them when you are tempted to doubt. And watch as the courtroom of the unseen shifts its judgment in your favor. Remember, the invisible court is always open. There is no recess. There is no delay. Every word is entered. Every phrase is honored. Every decree is fulfilled. Once you learn to speak as a commander and not as a victim, once you understand that every syllable shapes your verdict, a new law unfolds before you. And this is where the journey leads next, the law of command, the divine authority that moves wealth itself at the sound of your word. Wealth does not answer to whispers of doubt. It does not respond to anxious pleading. It does not bow to desperation. Wealth bows to command. The law of command is not about arrogance. It is not about shouting at the heavens or demanding with ego. It is the sacred authority of the soul recognizing its divine inheritance and speaking it into the atmosphere with certainty. Florence Scovel Shinn called it the power of the spoken word. Others have named it decree, declaration, divine command. But the essence is the same. Wealth does not move when you beg. It moves when you declare. Think of it this way. A king does not plead with his servants to fulfill his request. He does not wring his hands in worry, asking, "Will you please go, if it's not too much trouble?" A king commands. His authority is woven into his words. His words move action, and you are no different. You are not a beggar in the courts of heaven. You are royalty. You are heir to divine supply, and your words carry the same authority when they are aligned with the law. Here lies the great mistake many make. They pray, but they pray in fear. They say the right words, but behind the words is trembling. They ask for wealth as though they are unworthy of it. They repeat affirmations but with doubt still whispering in their chest, and so nothing moves. The heavens hear fear as resistance, but the heavens hear command as certainty. When you command, you align with the truth that all things are already prepared for you. You do not command as one trying to create wealth. You command as one who knows wealth already exists in the invisible, waiting to be revealed. Let me speak directly to the struggle many feel in this moment. Isn't it wrong to command God? You ask. Shouldn't I be humble and wait quietly? Beloved soul, humility is not silence when the law asks you to speak. Humility is obedience. If God has written abundance as your inheritance, then humility is claiming it with the authority He has already placed in your tongue. A soldier who refuses to act on his commander's orders is not humble. He is disobedient, and a child who refuses to step into his inheritance is not holy. He is afraid. So today I remind you, commanding is not arrogance. Commanding is obedience to the law of your being. Picture this now. Close your eyes if you will. Imagine yourself standing in a great inner temple. The walls gleam with golden light. In this temple you are not dressed in rags of fear or garments of lack. You are clothed as royalty. A robe of deep velvet rests on your shoulders. A crown of light is set upon your head. You step to the center of this temple, and you raise your voice, not with begging, not with trembling, but with the certainty of one who knows. As the decree has already been written in heaven, you command, I am wealthy now. Money moves toward me in perfect order. Wealth is already mine, and it answers to my voice. Do you feel the shift? Do you sense the atmosphere responding? That is the law of command. Here is your practice for today. Speak these words aloud, not timidly, but with authority, as though heaven itself is leaning in to hear. Affirmation 1. I command money to serve my highest good. Affirmation 2. I speak with authority and wealth responds without delay. Affirmation 3. I decree abundance flows to me now, for it is already written. Do not whisper them as though you are testing if they work. Do not say them like a half-hearted prayer. Declare them like a sovereign addressing the court of life. Every syllable must carry conviction. When you do this, you will notice a strange resistance rising. Your mind may whisper, "This feels arrogant." Your chest may tighten. Your past conditioning may tell you, "You can't just speak like that." This is the old self clinging to survival. This is the shadow of lack protesting because it knows its reign is ending. Do not bow to it. Command again. Every time you command with faith, the old voice weakens. Every time you declare as royalty, the chains of poverty loosen. Now, I must tell you the deeper truth. Command alone is not enough. If you command with doubt in your heart, your words are hollow. If you decree but still look at your life with fear, you are like a king speaking with no throne behind him. Command must be wed to trust. Decree must be rooted in surrender. Authority must walk hand in hand with faith. So yes, wealth obeys the command of certainty, but command without trust becomes empty sound. And this leads us to the next great principle, for the law of command stands only because there is a divine clock, a timing written beyond your sight. You can command with power, but you must also trust that heaven releases it in perfect season. So as you close this part of the journey, hold these words as a seal over your life. I am a sovereign soul. I command wealth with divine authority. My words are law and my faith makes them flesh. Now let us step into the next truth, where we discover the rhythm of the unseen, the divine clock that ensures every command is fulfilled in perfect order. There is a law written in silence, a law that humbles impatience and heals the restless heart. It is the law of divine timing. Every command you give, every word you speak, every vision you hold is received by the infinite. Yet the universe is not hurried by human hands. It operates by a divine clock, a perfect rhythm, a sacred calendar where nothing is ever late and nothing is ever early. This is where so many lose their faith. They speak wealth, they command prosperity, they declare their freedom, and then, they look around and see no change. Doubt creeps in. Fear whispers, "It is not working." Impatience stirs the mind, and suddenly the word that was planted begins to be uprooted by disbelief. But hear this truth. The moment you spoke, the seed was planted in the soil of spirit. Just as a farmer does not dig up the ground the next morning to see if the roots have formed, you too must trust that what you commanded is alive beneath the surface. The harvest is sure. It ripens in its season. God's clock is not like your clock. You measure minutes and days. Heaven measures readiness and alignment. You ask, when? Spirit answers, when it is perfect. And that perfection is not a delay, it is a protection. The delay you feel is often the divine arranging circumstances, shaping people, shifting paths so that your wealth arrives in fullness, not fragments. Imagine yourself standing before a great cosmic clock. Its hands are steady. They do not tremble, they do not rush. Every tick is precise, every strike is sacred. This clock governs the flow of your blessings. It is never confused, never hesitant. When the hour is struck, doors open with such ease that you will marvel and say, "Of course it could only happen this way." So the struggle is not with wealth itself, but with waiting. The struggle is with impatience, with the thought that nothing is happening. Yet the truth is, everything is happening. Invisible shifts are unfolding while your eyes see nothing. Roots are deepening before the sprout breaks through the soil. The silence is not absence. The silence is construction. This is where your inner dialogue must be transformed. For the impatient mind says, "It is not happening." The aligned soul says, "It is unfolding in perfect speed." The impatient mind says, "I am waiting too long." The aligned soul says, "Every moment is preparing me." The impatient mind says, "I fear it will never come." The aligned soul says, "What is mine cannot be delayed." Let these words become your inner compass. Each time your heart races with doubt, pause and speak. The divine clock brings my prosperity in perfect order. What is mine cannot be delayed. My command is heard, and my harvest ripens at the right hour. Feel how these words soothe your spirit. They are not idle phrases. They are keys that quiet the storm of impatience and lock you into divine trust. Now close your eyes for a moment. See before you the great clock of heaven. See its golden face, its radiant hands moving with precision. Each tick is a movement of divine order. Each strike is a step closer to manifestation. Whisper to yourself, I walk in the rhythm of God's time. I am not early. I am not late. I am exactly where I must be. When you align with this rhythm, peace washes over you. Anxiety dissolves. You begin to notice small confirmations that your wealth is on its way. Unexpected favor, a new idea, a surprising connection. These are the first fruits, signals that the clock is advancing. And when the hour item arrives, it will arrive suddenly. Just as winter turns to spring, just as the night gives way to dawn, there is no resisting the moment when God's timing is revealed. It will not trickle in. It will rush like a river breaking its dam. You will look back and understand why it could not have come a day sooner or a day later. So trust the process, trust the seed, trust the soil, trust the clock. Every law of spirit is working for you, not against you, and every word you have spoken is already on its way, carried by time that cannot be hurried and cannot be stopped. Affirm again with conviction, the divine clock brings my prosperity in perfect order. What is mine cannot be delayed. Let this law anchor you, for when you stop struggling against the timing of heaven, you enter the rest of faith, and in that rest, you attract faster, easier, more abundantly than in the restless struggle of fear. You have learned the law of divine timing, the silent gate of destiny that opens when the hour strikes. But there is another force that shapes the journey of wealth. Even with perfect timing, even with a steady clock, there is a current that must be mastered. That force is resistance, and now, we step into it. There comes a moment on the path to commanded wealth when the heaviest chains are not outside of you, but within. They are the invisible chains of resistance, the endless struggle against appearances, the battle with the bills stacked on the table, the fear that rises when a debt collector calls, the restless tossing in bed when money delays its arrival. You fight, you push, you resist, yet the harder you fight, the heavier the chains grow. Florence Scovel Shinn called this the law of non-resistance. She saw clearly that what you resist does not weaken. What you resist grows in shadow, expanding its grip over your mind and heart. Resistance feeds the very condition you are trying to dissolve. It is like pushing against a locked gate with all your strength, when in truth the gate only swings open when you stop pressing against it and step back in surrender. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture that gate. You are standing before it, drenched in sweat, exhausted from the pushing. Your hands ache, your breath is shallow, your heart pounds with frustration. You have tried every angle, every ounce of human strength, but the gate refuses to move. Now imagine that in one quiet breath you stop, you let go, you loosen your grip, and in that instant the gate swings open with the gentleness of a whisper. It was never locked. It was never your enemy. It simply responded to your surrender. This is the secret of non-resistance. When you resist the late bill, you bind yourself to lack. When you curse the delay, you freeze the flow of good. When you fight against circumstances, you magnetize more of the same. But when you release the struggle and say with calm certainty, this too is working for my good, the universe reorganizes itself around that vibration. The very thing that once seemed against you becomes your stepping stone. I want you to hear this truth with your whole soul. Lack is not defeated by fighting. Fear is not dissolved by force. Prosperity is not commanded through clenched fists. It is birthed through release, through faith, through the sacred courage to stop pushing and let God move. Take a slow breath with me now. Inhale peace, exhale resistance, inhale trust, exhale struggle. As you breathe, imagine laying down every financial burden you have been carrying. Picture yourself walking to a great altar bathed in golden light. In your hands are the debts, the bills, the fears, the delays, the weight of all your financial battles. Lay them on the altar. Watch them dissolve like mist in the morning sun. You walk away lighter, freer, stronger. This is the inner act that opens the gate. The law of non-resistance is not passivity, it is not weakness, it is the highest strength, for when you stop fighting appearances, you give divine law permission to act. You step aside so that the greater power may work on your behalf. Florence often said, "Nothing stands between man and his highest good but resistance," and she was right. The moment you stop clutching, life's flow can finally move. Affirm this now. I release resistance and money flows like water. Let the words sink into your chest like sacred medicine. Feel them dissolving the knots of tension. Feel the waters of abundance beginning to move again. Say it again, this time slower. I release resistance, and money flows like water. Now declare with faith, every obstacle is turned into a stepping stone by divine law. Yes, every single obstacle, even the one you thought was impossible, even the one that has followed you for years. Divine law wastes nothing. It transforms all things for your good the moment you stop fighting against them. Think of water. It never resists the rock. It flows around it, over it, under it, and in time it wears the rock down into smoothness. Non-resistance is the way of water. It is the way of divine wealth. You too can flow instead of fight. You too can move instead of being stuck. Resistance binds. Release frees, resistance blocks, surrender opens. The law is simple, yet the human mind makes it complicated. Your ego wants to fight, but your spirit longs to release. Which voice will you follow? Consider the story of a man burdened by endless bills. Each time he opened the mailbox, he cursed the sight of another envelope. He declared, "This is too much, I cannot bear it." His words, charged with resistance, multiplied his struggle. One day he remembered the law and tried a new approach. Instead of fear, he spoke faith. Every bill is already paid by divine supply. He released the struggle, gave thanks for the circulation of money, and refused to resist. Soon unexpected income arrived, debts were lifted, and he was free. Not by force, but by release. I ask you now, where are you still resisting? What appearances are you fighting? What locked gate are you pressing against in frustration? Be honest with your for honesty opens the way. Pause, take another breath, say quietly within, I let go, I trust divine law. Feel the chains falling away. Feel the burden leaving your shoulders. Feel the gate opening before you. Your command of wealth is not weakened by letting go. It is strengthened. For when you stop resisting, your words and thoughts align with divine power instead of human fear, and aligned with power, your command carries weight in the invisible. This is why so many never see their wealth manifest. They command with their lips but resist with their hearts. They declare abundance but cling to fear. Their words go forth, but resistance ties them down. Today, that ends for you. You are learning the way of the gate. Visualize again that altar of golden light. Lay upon it every worry, every struggle, every memory of lack. Leave it there. Walk away lighter. Walk away free. Walk away certain that divine law is at work in your favor. Affirm with me once more. I release resistance and money flows like water. Every obstacle is turned into a stepping stone by divine law. Let these words be your shield. Let them be your practice. Each time fear rises, each time delay appears, each time lack knocks on your door, return to these declarations. Resist nothing. Flow with faith. And watch the wealth that has always been yours come rushing into your life. Because when resistance ends, substitution begins. The sacred art of transforming thought itself. Imagine for a moment that your mind is a temple. Within this temple there is sacred silence, high vaulted ceilings, and a great altar in the center. Every thought you entertain is like a worshipper who enters. Some come clothed in radiant garments of faith, carrying lighted lamps of hope. Others creep in with shadows draped across their faces, whispering the words of fear, lack, and doubt. The temple does not decide who enters. You do. This is the essence of the law of substitution. Your mind cannot serve two masters. It cannot bow before both fear and faith. It cannot host both lack and abundance at the same time. One thought always substitutes for another, and you, the keeper of the temple, hold the power of choice. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that whenever fear knocks at the door, you must send faith to answer. Because the mind, like the temple, will not remain empty. It will be filled with one thought or another, and if you do not choose, the lower thought will claim its place by default. This is the struggle most souls carry in silence. The bills stacked on the kitchen table, the numbers written in red ink, the quiet shame of feeling behind, the fearful loop whispering, "There is never enough." Every day those shadowed worshippers enter the temple without resistance, and the altar of the mind is covered in prayers of lack. But here is the divine shift. You are not helpless before these thoughts. You are the master of substitution. You can open the temple gates and decree, "No longer will fear be given the incense of my attention. No longer will doubt be crowned with authority. Only wealth, only faith, only the living word of abundance may stand before my altar." Think of it this way: when the sun rises, darkness cannot argue with it. The shadows do not resist, they dissolve. So it is with substitution. When you consciously speak a command of wealth, the fear thought evaporates. It has no ground to stand on when light floods in. Let us make this practice living and real. The next time fear rises, when the thought says, "How will I pay this bill?" do not argue with it. Do not resist it. Simply substitute. Speak aloud. "I choose wealth, and wealth chooses me." Say it with authority, like a decree echoing through the temple walls. Say it until the fear dissolves, because it must, because light always substitutes darkness. This law is not about denial. It is not about pretending you have no fear. It is about mastery. It is about lifting your eyes above the shadows and choosing to place your worship on faith instead. Every time you substitute, you are recarving the grooves of your subconscious. Every substitution is like planting a seed of wealth in the soil of your mind, and in due season, that seed must bring forth harvest. Close your eyes and enter this visualization. You are standing in your sacred temple. Fear approaches, cloaked in gray, whispering, "There is not enough." But in your hand is a golden lamp. You lift it high and declare, "Every fear is instantly substituted with faith." The lamp glows brighter, and the shadow dissolves into nothingness. At the altar, wealth appears, clothed in light, speaking, "I choose you, as you have chosen me." Feel this image until your whole body knows it is truth. Now let us anchor this practice with a tool you can carry into your daily walk. Each morning take a journal and write, "What fear thought will I replace with a wealth command today?" Do not rush. Let the question linger like incense. When the answer rises, whether it is fear of debt, fear of rejection, fear of failure, write it down. Then directly beneath it, write the substitution. Turn every shadow into light. Turn every fear into wealth. Make this your daily offering at the altar of your temple, and let us declare together now, every fear is instantly substituted with faith. I choose wealth, and wealth chooses me. My temple belongs to light. My altar burns only with abundance. Speak these not as hopes but as laws. Speak them as the architect speaks the blueprint. Speak them as the conductor commands the divine orchestra. Speak them until your temple is filled only with radiant worshippers of wealth, faith and abundance. This is the sacred law of substitution, and when you live it, fear cannot remain. Doubt cannot linger. Every shadow dissolves in the light of your sea. Command. And now, as the temple grows brighter, as substitution becomes natural, we move toward the highest law. Because when words align with divine timing, when non-resistance is practiced, when substitution is mastered, only one thing remains: the law of manifestation itself, the visible wealth born of invisible faith. That is where we now turn. You have walked through the laws, you have unlearned fear, replaced doubt with faith, and spoken words that carried the fire of creation. Now you stand at the doorway where prophecy becomes proof, where the invisible becomes visible, where the law of fulfillment, eternal and exact, reveals its hand. The law of fulfillment is not a promise waiting on time. It is a principle that answers alignment. What is spoken in faith, trusted in silence and lived with certainty, cannot remain hidden. It must manifest. It must take form. The word made flesh, that is not poetry, it is law. Picture yourself now, not the old self who begged for wealth, but the true self who commands it. You stand as a new creation. The ground beneath your feet no longer trembles with uncertainty. It is solid. It is the foundation of divine order. Above you, the vault of heaven opens wide, not as a faraway myth, but as a reality pouring into your very life. Streams of abundance flow like golden rivers, winding through your days, touching every corner of your being. This is not a promise of tomorrow. This is the unveiling of today. You are no longer chasing money. You are money in motion. You are no longer fearing bills. You are the soul who pays with ease, with gratitude, with power. Debt dissolves in your presence, because lack cannot survive where divine wealth has taken its seat. Fear flees because light and fear cannot share the same temple. And your temple, your mind, your heart, your words, is now filled with wealth and expression. Let me guide you into your vision. Close your eyes if you can and walk with me. See yourself as you have prayed to be. You rise in the morning without the weight of debt pressing again. Saint your chest, you breathe freely because bills no longer dictate your peace. You check your accounts and smile, not because of numbers alone, but because those numbers are the echo of your alignment. They are proof that the law of fulfillment has obeyed your command. See yourself giving generously without hesitation. Feel the joy of writing a check to help a family, of funding a dream, of blessing a stranger because wealth has multiplied in your hands. Your life is no longer small. It is a river flowing outward, touching others, expanding with every gift. That is wealth. That is divine law embodied. Now speak these commands with me, not as hope, but as decree. Every word you release is an instrument in the divine orchestra, tuning your world into harmony. First command, I command the vault of heaven to open over me now. Wealth, pour into every area of my life. Second command, I command every seed of faith I have spoken to bear visible fruit. Prosperity, manifest in form and in spirit. Third command, I command every chain of debt and limitation to break and dissolve into nothing. I walk free in divine abundance. Fourth command, I command my words to multiply wealth wherever I go. Opportunities, doors, and miracles rise to meet me. Fifth command, I command my life to testify of divine riches, generosity, and peace. I am the evidence of God's infinite supply. Feel the vibration of these words. They are not sounds floating in the air. They are living currents, seeds charged with creative power. Every command you spoke is already carried out by the law. The unseen is already rearranging. The visible is already aligning. And you, right now, stand in the field of manifestation. Let us go deeper. Let us step into your future self. Not a dream but a vision rooted in truth. See yourself walking into a room filled with light. There is no shadow of worry on your face. There is no heaviness in your body. Your shoulders rest easily. Your heart beats with calm strength. You wear the robe of wealth, not stitched with fabric, but with confidence, clarity, and divine certainty. You carry yourself as one who owns the ground they walk on, not with arrogance but with quiet authority. Your wealth is not noisy. It is steady. It is eternal. It is law embodied. Listen to the sound around you, the sound of peace, the sound of doors opening before you, the sound of others calling you blessed. That is your life. That is your reality. That is the fruit of fulfillment. Now, let us anchor this with affirmations, not shallow words, but spiritual commands clothed in certainty. Repeat them within yourself, or aloud if you can. I am wealth in expression. The law has made me a millionaire in spirit and in form. I walk in divine supply and supply walks with me. My words create rivers of abundance that never run dry. I am chosen. I am called. I am established in wealth. Let these words press into your spirit. Feel them shaping your inner dialogue. The inner voice that once doubted now obeys the higher truth. The voice that once feared is silenced by certainty, and certainty itself has become your wealth. I speak this blessing over you now. May every shadow of lack dissolve from your life. May clarity light your path, so every decision is made with wisdom and ease. May doors of opportunity open, without struggle, without delay. May wealth rise to meet you, flow through you, and remain with you. May generosity be your natural state. joy your constant companion, and freedom your eternal inheritance. You are not hoping to be wealthy. You are wealth. You are not praying to be free. You are freedom walking. From this day forward, your life testifies that the law has made you a multi-millionaire, not only in form, but in soul. This is your reality. This is your identity. This is your fulfillment. And now, beloved soul, do not let this fire grow dim. Return here daily. Every word spoken here is not entertainment. It is seed. Seed of divine wealth, seed of breakthrough, seed of freedom. Subscribe now and come back every day, because each word is a living key, unlocking the gates of your destiny. The vault of heaven has opened, the rivers have begun to flow, you have commanded wealth, and the law has answered you.